Good evening, everyone present here. I am Faraz from IGCP Group. Welcome all the participants on today's webinar. And let me introduce the topic for this session. We are on the occasion of World IVF Day, and we are coming with very important topic, that is infertility decoded, an overview with AI innovation and recent advances. As we are moving digitally forward, so in the field of medicine, science also it become important to move in the certain kind of AI and their innovations. So without any further delay, I would like to invite host for this webinar. She is none other than Dr. Sharda Jain ma'am, and let me share some of the achievement of ma'am. Ma'am is a Secretary General of DGF, that is Delhi Gynecology Forum, and founder and chairman of North India Gynecologist Forum. Hi, ma'am. Welcome to the show once again, ma'am. You are always there to guide and teach in the innovation in the form of medical science. So, ma'am, it is great honor to have you. Now, I would like to invite and hand over this session to make this session move forward. Over to you, ma'am. You can proceed from here.
Thank you, Faraz. At the outset, my sincere regards for platform given to us on Med Talks. Is a very popular platform where lakhs and lakhs of doctors are associated. And today, Dr. Shivani Gaur is the youngest speaker today. She may not be as senior as Brigadier Sharma and Dr. Gauri, but she's a very powerful. She has made a name for herself as far as IVF word is in India is concerned. And I think, when the surrogacy days were on fully thrive, she was the queen of the surrogacy as far as Asia was concerned. She's the one of the most liked teacher by DGF courses on infertility because she is patient centric, she's success centric, and she grabs what is new which can improve the outcome for the person. So over to you. We hear Dr. Shivani. She's going to update you what she feels the best in the last decade or so. So Dr. Shivani, over to you.
Respected Sharda Jain ma'am and IGC, and what I will be going through is a recent update on infertility, in which I'm focusing my attention on just 2025. So for attended ESHRE, this is a complete summary of what has come out in 2025. So okay. So these are the press releases that were given by ESHRE. That is, microplastics have been discovered in human reproductive fluid. That is in the semen as well as in the follicular fluid. So see where microplastics have reached. The second press release was about PCOS, where they have said that dysregulated epigenetic memory in the embryos offers new clue to the inheritance of PCOS. That means when the embryo is in the mother's womb, some changes take place due to which the woman will develop PCOS after she is born. IUI and IVF pregnancy rates throughout Europe are stable despite an increased uptake of single embryo transfer. Against the odds, a very interesting study where endometriosis has been shown to have 4 times higher pregnancy rates than other causes of infertility like tubal factor or ovulation or male factor infertility. And the best part is that these ovarian stimulation guidelines have come out from ESHRE 2025, which for all of us, whether you are doing IVF or not, is imperative to know. So ovarian response prediction, only AFC and AMH, only 2 things are recommended: age, BMI, basal FSH, inhibin B, basal E2, progesterone LH, not recommended. For pregnancy prediction, again AFC, AMH, FSH, LH, estradiol, progesterone, nothing is recommended. So what is recommended? Only age of the woman and BMI. See the importance which is given to BMI. That is directly correlated with the single most important determinant of our treatment. Pre-treatment therapy with estrogen, like estrogen before ovulation stimulation is not recommended. Estrogen and progesterone, both pre-treatment, can only be used for scheduling purpose, like you are doing batch practice or you want to avoid a particular time. You use estrogen and progesterone pre-treatment. Birth control pre-treatment 12 to 28 days not recommended. You are reducing your success rate of antagonist cycles. Pill is used, so and especially if you are planning fresh embryo transfer. Now there is a sandwich protocol, that first we use antagonist, then we use stimulation, then again antagonist. So this pre-treatment, some people use pre-treatment only as clinical trial. Again, this delayed start, ovarian stimulation, where you do day 2, you check, you feel that there are big asynchronous antral follicles, you give antagonist and then start. All this is not recommended. Then a reduced gonadotropin dose is recommended. That the previous slide also was showing about modified natural cycle and natural cycle, not recommended for high responders. Dose is recommended to reduce the risk of OHSS. Antagonist protocol is recommended in high responders, but when you are using antagonists, reduce the dose of gonadotropin, delay nor increase gonadotropin is recommended over conventional. For normoresponders, just use 150 to 225. Again, for low responders, so you feel that there are very few follicles, you want to synchronize all of them, but not recommended. In these poor responders, modified natural cycle is not recommended. Low responders are a heterogeneous group, so people who have very low reserve, these are the ones where you can select modified natural cycle. For low responders, use a higher dose. So don't use 150 or 225, use 300, but anything more than 300 is not recommended. If you are using agonist, then this long agonist protocol is recommended over ultra short. So short and ultra short have gone out of favor. Antagonist is recommended over agonist to give higher safety. So the international suggestion is to go for antagonist. You can go for fixed or flexible, both are equally used. You can use progesterone, PPOS, progesterone for suppression instead of antagonist if you're freezing, good success rate. Recombinant FSH, HMG equally recommended. So the latest recommendation of 225 is RFSH is equal to HMG. RFSH and urinary FSH purified, again equally effective. RFSH highly purified are equally recommended. The FSH with RLH, I don't want to name the brand name, but you all know the newest product which has come out is RFSH with RLH. So what this says is that it is same efficacy as RFSH. FSH is equally good. They are equally good for women with advanced age also. Combined use of FSH with HMG. Sometimes even I am using half FSH, half HMG. Then now there is a company which is trying to launch this long acting where FSH effect lasts for 1 week in India. So if you look at the long acting FSH, it is equally recommended along with the two brand names, Folitropin alpha and beta, equally recommended. Highly purified FSH and HMG, again equally recommended. Use of recombinant RFSH and RLH is agonist protocol. So again in agonist, both are equally effective. Adding low dose HCG to FSH not recommended. Stimulation scheme started with gonadotropin and then letrozole, not recommended. Addition of letrozole to gonadotropin for high responders, not recommended. Addition of letrozole to gonadotropin for normal responders, not recommended. Addition of letrozole to gonadotropin is not recommended for even poor responders. Addition of CC to gonadotropin not recommended for high responders, not recommended for normal responders, and not recommended for low responders. It's equally effective. So for low responders, you can use CC or CC with gonadotropins. What about adjustment? We add antagonists and we think, oh, let us increase the dose of gonadotropin. Not recommended. You can keep the same dose. There is lack of value of dose adjustment during ovarian stimulation, so you must have an appropriate starting dose. Adjuvant metformin, not recommend this during ovarian stimulation is not recommended in antagonists with PCOS. Growth hormone during ovulation stimulation not recommended even in normo or low responders or in women with PCOS. Testosterone before stimulation not recommended. DHEA not recommended for low responders, not recommended for normal responders. Some people start using aspirin. They say this is not recommended for general population or low responders. Use of sildenafil before or during stimulation, again not recommended for poor responders. Myo-inositol before or during ovarian. Myo-inositol before or during stimulation not recommended for low responders, and myo-inositol again not recommended in non-PCOS women who are undergoing IVF. Non-conventional start of ovarian, that is a random stimulation start. It can be used when you are not planning a fresh transfer and there is no possibility of natural conception. We can use even a luteal start of ovarian stimulation when we are not planning a fresh embryo transfer and no possibility of natural conception. Late luteal phase transfer start of gonadotropin, of course, is never going to be recommended if you are planning a fresh embryo transfer. Double stimulation, yes, you can consider it for urgent fertility preservation cycles. Double stimulation can be used for accuvate cycle, that is accumulation of oocytes or embryos when fresh transfer is not planned. Fertility preservation, if the patient is facing gonadotoxic treatment, then ovarian stimulation for fertility preservation should be started irrespective. These patients come to you in urgency and panic on a horse. If you tell them to wait even for 5 days, forget next cycle, you will never see them again. So you can start stimulation. Remember, it will not make any difference in the pregnancy rate. You can start is recommended. And when you are doing ovarian stimulation for fertility preservation in ovarian sensitive tumors, then use letrozole or tamoxifen. For final oocyte maturation, in this patient, HCG is preferred. So remember, HCG is preferred, but of course, be careful that your patient doesn't have a risk of OHSS. Elective oocyte preservation can be done irrespective of the menstrual cycle phase. You can use antagonist protocol or you can use progesterone, that is medroxyprogesterone acetate 10 milligram. You can use it instead of giving the antagonist. For final oocyte maturation, remember in oocyte freezing, there is a favorable of HCG over triptorelin or buserelin or any GnRH agonist, but as long as your patient is not risk for OHSS. So thank you everybody for a very patient hearing and for this opportunity.
Dr. Shivani, they were thrilled about your presentation. They want to hear again from you what is the most significant new advances you heard in ASHRAE. They want you to repeat it. आपको क्या ज्यादा इम्प्रेस किया?
मुझे तो ये समझ आया कि हमारे लाइफस्टाइल की वजह से बहुत चेंजेस आ रहे हैं हमारी बॉडी में. माइक्रोप्लास्टिक्स हमारे एग्स में और स्पर्म में भी घुस चुके हैं अभी. और जो बीमारियां हैं जैसे PCOS विच इज रैम्पेंट इन इंडिया, उसका ओरिजिन इज बीइंग फाउंड in the embryo and they are trying new technologies to try and prevent it from the embryo level. So this just sounds like science fiction now, but this work is going on. Then the endometriosis, जो इतना difficult condition है, which we think is almost a hopeless condition. The pregnancy rates are 4 times that of ovulation and tubal factors, and they have described a lot of reasons for that. So some of the reasons are early detection now, because the problem endometriosis faced, but it was never detected. हाँ नहीं, वही endometriosis का ही बोल रही थी मैं कि that is good news for us and our patients.
And in case if you want to take 2 minutes more. Shivani?
And then the biggest thing was कि oral contraceptive pill, we used to use left, right and center in IVF cycles. So please stop oral contraceptive pills. Even 12 days, 28 days, avoid it, because now there is again and again data coming that it is reducing the success rate of IVF cycle. So even for patients for other indication who are not yet pregnant, maybe reconsider ki avoid oral contraceptive or birth control pill, go more for lifestyle changes for these patients. Then in stimulation protocols, what is happening is that we used to focus a lot on be giving antagonists, gonadotropin. Now it has come that whatever you do, you are using recombinant FSH, recombinant LH. You all know that new drug, the new brand name which has come. Then there is recombinant FSH. Then there is pure FSH. This data is showing that you are not improving pregnancy rate by anything. It is just the same. So don't focus too much on brands and brand names. Just focus more on the BMI, like the BMI of the patient. And you can even use like Munjaro and Ozempic now to reduce the BMI of the patients. So this is what I
It's
found.
coming from Dr. Shivani also. Dr.
Yeah.
Shivani, what is your last sentence for the viewers?
My last sentence is that everybody who is here is an IVF hero. And I want to congratulate all IVF heroes on World IVF Day, and those days where we had nothing but adoption available for couples. We hope to put those days in the past and give everybody their dream.
And I think, I salute to every experts who have been participating in ASHRAE. They have made things very simplified. And many things which we have been doing left and right, they very categorically said that it is they are not recommended. So I think, with all the teachers on the dais, I thank you very much on the behalf of the viewers, that things might made very interesting. And I'm surprised, the questions were asked were very simple, but I think they bothered our patients quite a bit. So thank you very much, all of you. And thank you, Med Talks, for giving this particular platform. I think, this particular deliberation will go a long way for thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Faraz, you want to say something?